gentlemen, podcasting since 2005. You're listening to Gamertag Radio with your hosts, podcaster Hall of Famer Danny Peña, the always opinionated Paris Lilly, and from outside of the norm, Peter Toledo. This is Gamertag Radio.
All right, welcome to Gamertag Radio, episode 1302. And this is your host, Danny Peña. And also joining me for this special episode, we have Paris Lilly. Paris, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? We played Forza Motorsport.
Forza Motorsport. That was a very dope experience, man, at the museum that we got to check out. What's the name of the museum? It's located in Los Angeles?
Yes, the Peterson Auto Museum.
Peterson Auto. Okay. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Thanks to the Xbox and also Turn 10 for inviting us. And overall, it was really cool. And it was cool checking out the museum because they also showed us like the different floors, the history about cars. There was stuff that I didn't know about electric way back in the old days. They tried it out and it didn't work out. And yeah, we got to see all different types of car designs and everything. It was very, very interesting checking that out in person, man. How was your experience checking this out?
I mean, it was amazing going to the auto museum and just seeing all the, like you said, just the history of cars and realizing that the first car was technically in the 1700s. It was a steam-powered car. I think it went like 2 miles per hour or something like that. But that was technically the very first car. And then just seeing over the years how everything's evolved. And man, some of those cars that we got to see, like from the 1930s and 1940s, like I just call them like the gangster cars. Like it's just like a mobster would be rolling around in some of that stuff. It was just amazing to see. And then, you know, they had the DeLorean for Back to the Future there. Knight Rider kit was there, and you got to see the car from Starsky and Hutch. I love that whole section they had dedicated to Porsche. And then, you know, at the very end, the Tesla. The whole section they had dedicated to Tesla, and just seeing how all that stuff works with automobiles. It's impressive. You can go to that museum and you can totally understand why people just fall in love with cars, because it's just so dope to be able to see all the different kinds of them.
Yeah. So we are going to be talking about the game here, hands-on impressions. And I believe there was two different ways how Xbox were having people to test this out. Some got to test it in person, like what we did, and those also other creators in the media got I believe the same build that we had, but they were playing it at home. So for us, it was in person. I don't know if you also tried it out again, Paris, at home with the console. Did you or no?
Yeah, I did. You did? Yeah, I've been playing it at home as well.
Okay, yeah. So we'll talk about that, but first, head over to gamertagradio.com, post your comments and feedback. Listen to our past episodes. Also, you can find us on any, and I mean any, podcast app. All you have to do is just search for Gamertag Radio. We're there. Subscribe. Oh, wow. And also follow us and also post your review. Damn. You know, sometimes you do this so many times, you can forget sometimes, you know. All right. And also, if you would like to be part of our fan mail discussion, here's how you could contact us.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right. So Paris, let's go back, man. So we been playing Forza, I think, since the beginning, since when it was like in the old console way back. Because previously, the game that was close to me was Project Gotham Racing, right? So then Forza Motorsport came out. We got to play that. Also, Forza Horizon, which is an amazing game too. Now, the last Forza game that I got to play, I wasn't too thrilled about it. I think it was decent, but I felt like it was missing a lot of things, and I just wasn't there with it, you know. So now that we got to play this game, I think they're in the right path. I think this is looking good so far for the game. And I love that it was easy to pick up and go. It wasn't like previous. It was like a lot of how I say this, a lot of stuff happening with like customization, all that stuff. Because sometimes, I'm not a hardcore racing fan. Sometimes I could get overwhelmed with all that stuff on the screen, right? I didn't felt that at all. I know that if you're a fan of customizing cars, an option where you could just do that and you could go all out. But also for the new fans, it will help you like automatically, help you with customization and all that stuff, right? So, but playing the game, I think it was good. I felt great playing it. Love the tracks that we got to play. There was a couple. I know there was like it was like a tutorial version that we got to play. And first you could test out the track and then make it official. You could race and everything. But for you, how was your experience? Was there any differences that you noticed with this build?
Well, it's interesting because it's been a while since we've got a true sim version of Forza. God, I can't remember what year Forza 7 was, but I've been so used to playing Horizon, which is more of an arcade style game, to jump back into Forza, a true Forza Motorsport now, and have that real sim experience. I mean, it took me a minute to readjust, but it felt good. It felt good racing around the track. I love like the preview that we did. It's called like the Builders Cup, and the whole point of that is to you find a car that you like, and you're literally building it. It's showing you how to tune it, and you're doing these races, and you're getting points. You can get more parts, things like that. Like when we got to sit down with Turn 10 and talk about the game, I mean, their big message was, yeah, there's 500 cars in the game, but the whole point of Forza Motorsport is to find those 5 or 10 cars that you're going to fall in love with, right? So this isn't about the collectathon that Forza has been in the past. This is about finding a few cars that you like to race and basically building them up and tuning them and taking them out. I love, like, I shouldn't say love, but I should just say that in this version of Forza Motorsport, they're really leaning more on machine learning and AI with the drivatars and things like that. And I love that the AI was scalable in this, so that I tuned it up to the max, and they were kicking my butt. It was very hard for me to even get like 5th place going against those AI cars. And not to mention, you can kind of scale the difficulty level of it because, obviously the classic, the driving line that they have, you can simulate the damage physics if you want to, tires, fuel, things like this, that you can pick and choose what you want to turn on, turn off to simulate a true racing experience. And I've been able to play around with a lot of that over the past week or so, at the event and now at home. And I think for people that are coming to this, like, I'm not a super hardcore racing guy, but I like it. I've liked the Forza series. I kind of can find that balance between, having more assists on versus a true simulation that kind of fits me. Whereas someone that's super hardcore into this, they're going to build the racing cockpit and they're going to have the wheels and all this stuff. They can go full simulation with this. A true, like, you're racing around the track, you got a pit stop, the fuel, the tire wear, the real like everything. The AI is very aggressive. So I think they've found a good balance to make this welcoming to new people into racing, but also respect the hardcore sim racers as well. So you're getting the best of both worlds. It seems like so far in this preview that we've had with Forza.
Yeah, and also on this episode, we're gonna play an interview with the general manager, right? Wait,
No, he's a GM. Yeah, he's a GM. Yeah, Dan Greenawalt. He's a GM. Yeah, he's a GM.
GM. Yeah, he was very, very cool person to talk to. And yeah, we were talking like a good 30 minutes or so, something like that. Yeah, even before recording. We were talking about, oh my God, yeah. So so there was a fly in the location that we were just flying around and just bothering us while we were doing the interview. We got that on video, which is funny. So, but yeah, shout out to Dan. It was really cool to talk to him. I know there was somebody else too there at the event that was also part of Turn 10 with Dan.
Yeah, the creative director, and I do not want to butcher his last name. Oh my God, I'll look it up in a second and tell you in a second because I'm gonna butcher his last name. But the creative director for Forza Motorsport was also there.
Okay, cool. No, that was awesome meeting them and everything. So yeah, so Paris. So I'm wondering how this is also going to play through like multiplayer, and I know there's going to be crossplay too in there with PC and Xbox, and also through the cloud and everything. I'm just curious to see, how is it going to be online? Because I know Dan did mention that a couple of times during an interview. What you think? You think it's going to be smooth, or it's just going to be an experiment? Because I know there's a couple of features that is not going to be available for launch, but it's going to be coming up in the future for this. And I forgot what was the
split screen was one of them. I can't remember, but they were minor. They're not going to take away from the individual racing experience. God, now I can't even remember what the other mode was, but ultimately it wasn't that big of a deal that it wasn't going to be at launch. But I mean, excuse me, as far as the online experience goes, I mean, I'm expecting the typical Forza online racing experience with it. It'll be interesting to see with the drivatars and the scaling AI, how that's going to be handled, in multiplayer. But like I said, they're really committed to AI and machine learning with their drivatars to improve it even more than we've seen in past iterations. So, I mean, clearly we won't know until we actually get out there, on the track in the multiplayer setting and see. So, don't want to speculate too much other than, they're expecting big things from it.
Yeah, but the reason why I brought that up is because when I play online, like these gamers online, they're aggressive, man. Pushing you around, all that stuff. Like it's just it could get very, very chaotic. And sometimes I prefer just to play single player because of that. It could get overwhelming seeing all these gamers that are really good at this game, so that's why I was asking, because of the level position. Like if you're a pretty good, Forza player and I'm just a casual, are they gonna, put us together? And I know Dan did mention that they have something new with the multiplayer, and we'll listen to that later in the interview. But I've just been curious about that, so.
Yeah, and it's Chris Eskai. I hope I'm not butchering that last name. I always screw it up, but he's the creative director for Forza Motorsport, and because I got a chance to talk to him briefly during Summer Game Fest when they did the behind closed doors, and then he was there for this. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to speak to him directly. It's from an interview standpoint, but he definitely during the presentation had some great perspective on the vision again for what they want to do with Forza Motorsport. Like I said, previously, it's about finding those 5 or 10 cars that you love, right? It's not about collecting all of them. Obviously, you can go do that if you want to, but it's about teaching you the value of building cars, adding parts to it, taking it out on the track, testing it, all these things, figuring out what works, what doesn't, Another part that I didn't mention as far as the simulation experience, weather is going to be a factor in this as well. Day-night cycles, all that stuff is going to be here in Forza Motorsport. And since I'm talking, I'll say this too, from a visual standpoint. So we played on Xbox Series X, and at home was on Xbox Series X as well. And there's the two modes. There's the regular. There's the performance mode, which does not have ray tracing, 60 frames per second. And then there's the other mode that includes ray tracing, still at 4K, 60 frames per second. But the 4K is variable. It'll scale up resolution wise depending on what's going on. So good balance there. You can get a rock solid 4K 60 if you so choose. But if you want to include ray tracing, that's going to be there. But you will still get that 60 frames per second regardless if you have ray tracing or not. So I think that's good.
Yeah, because we capture the footage and it's 4K and it looks really, really good. But yeah, man. So we're gonna play the interview right now, and once we come back, we're gonna wrap it up here on Gamertag Radio. So we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio.
All right, so we're live here in Los Angeles, and we have a special guest here. Will you present yourself? What is it you do at Turn 10?
My name is Dan Greenawalt. I'm the GM, General Manager of Forza Motorsport.
And this is a very different game than previous games, right? From Forza, or is this something similar?
Well, Forza's been around for a while. Mm-hmm. Me and a small team founded this group, Turn 10, back in 2001. We launched our first game, Forza Motorsport, in 2005. And now here we are in 2023 launching Forza Motorsport again. Mm-hmm. But we think of this as kind of a rebirth. It's a restart of the franchise. And our ultimate goal is to create a racing platform for people to fall in love with cars and gain skill and compete with each other for years to come.
I know there's like us where we love Forza, where we played also Horizon and Motorsport also. We're not hardcore.
Speak for yourself.
Hey, I'm just saying. But we're not really hardcore when it comes to that, right? Like I know in the previous years, I just love to race. I'm not one of those that into like building and upgrading my cars. So how's it been like now with this version, the easier way now for those that doesn't know much how to upgrade cars? Is this something that a tutorial or anything like simpler for those people that are not into that or just want to race?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, we were harking back to Forza Motorsport 1 through 4. And in there, building was a core component of the game. But in Forza Motorsport 5 through 7, we sort of we let auto upgrade take over, and we had class limits, and so you'd kind of jump straight into a car and never experience it in its stock form. And you wouldn't get that experience of it getting faster and faster and faster. And as a result, in many ways, you never got to experience getting faster and faster and faster because your skills grow with the car. So we've built this entire game. It's an entirely new loop around better physics, better audio, better AI, all of these systems that help you have natural learning. So you start a car when it's, in its stock form, but the nuance of the car is very pronounced because of the physics. And you're not jumping straight into a car that's kind of too much, too fast. And what I've loved is I've seen people reacting just today to kind of like starting in a little bit of a slower car, but then finding its limits. And you really are finding your own limits when you find the car's limits. So I hope that people actually don't think of it as core or not core. It's really about accessibility, approachability, dexterity, and learning in a very natural way. You don't go to the classroom to learn. You don't watch a YouTube video. Experiment. Try. Start slow, get faster, and upgrades are part of the whole experience.
So it's funny because you mentioned how you started this back in 2001 and the first Forza was 2005. And maybe I'm dating all of us here, but I just remember this entire journey from the very first Forza game. And to Danny's point, it's not that I'm the most hardcore racing enthusiast out there, but I've always been a fan of cars and a fan of racing, and how much this franchise has taught me about cars and racing over the years. Like it's funny just thinking that racing line that now it's just a standard. This is what Forza kind of brought to the table. But the reason I bring all that up is you were talking to us earlier about how it's about getting a love for cars and the phrase built, not bought. And what does that mean as we go here into this new version of Forza Motorsport?
Yeah, you really cued in on a couple things that are core to how this team thinks about this game. Falling in love with cars through skill and competition, natural learning, things I just mentioned. But then on top of it, the car is built, not bought. That is what's going to build that bond. As you add pieces to the car, you move through it. So it's not just superficial, like how's the car look? It's really about the experience of driving that car. And I don't think people have to be great to enjoy it. And that's the difference. I think people are like, well, I'm more of a this or I'm more of a that. And I'm like, give it a try. I think you're going to find that it hooks you. Like, oh, I want to get faster because that 10/10 system.
Yeah.
And you get a little upgrade on it. You hear this car sounds a little different. It's not getting so fast that you spin out of control. It's just a little bit faster. And it's that progression of a car. And it's supernatural because that's how cars, this is all physics based.
Yeah.
So the car gets faster and faster, your skill gets better. And I think that's what's going to hook people in.
So like you mentioned in a previous conversation, 500 cars roughly is what you're looking at. But this time it's not about collecting them. It's about finding that 5 or 10 that you love. And again, I'm trying to take this from the standpoint of someone that may not be a huge racing enthusiast, that may be jumping into Forza Motorsport for the very first time. The build that we played today, it was Builders Cup, I believe.
Yeah.
And I loved how it's, again, kind of teaching you and slow progressing you into how these cars work. Like, as an example, previous Forzas, you can get extremely hardcore with the tuning and everything, but this one had a feature in it where it would kind of lay out, hey, here's the parts that you got. Click this button. Here's how they will apply to this car, and these are the things that it's going to improve versus what it previously was. So from a novice standpoint, from someone that isn't huge into racing, how kind of talk more about this Builders Cup and how that's going to be an introduction into Forza Motorsport.
Yeah, our hope is to really invite people into this world. So I love this world. I think there's some people that are kind of born and bred in this sort of car world, but I want to invite people in. And Forza has had a lot of great success. Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport. Horizon's about exploration and fun and beauty, and Motorsport's about this competition and skill. So to invite them in, we have to create a path that's easy to walk, but you can actually get off the path and go find yourself in the weeds. And that's what's going to bring that love out. You're not on the same path as everybody else. So 500 cars, yes. We want to help you find the 10 that matter to you, and they could be wildly different than mine. And then even if we had the same car, it's not that they would just look different. They probably would, but it's like I tune it this way, you tune it that way. We invite people in there with the Builders Cup by saying you earn a few points. Now, you can kind of put these parts on and you see like, oh, well, you can do this and that. It's not overload of information, which traditionally it has been. Now, if you are someone that's super familiar with this game, there are other areas you can jump straight into with a car and just start power leveling it. Bam, 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 and really upgrade it so you can take it into multiplayer. That's there. That's not my expectation of how most players are going to come in. I love having this path where I can just slow roll in because I'm not, I've done some race car driving. You get me into like a car faster than a Corvette, and it's more car than I can deal with. And I'm being generous with myself by saying even a Corvette. I got to be honest. Like a Corvette on a track is a wicked fast car. So having people really appreciate a 3 Series BMW from the 80s, like really, the way the tires roll over, and they won't know how to speak about it. They're feeling it. It's that feeling that's really important, and I think that's what builds the bond.
Anything new with multiplayer? And also, I noticed you didn't call the AI Dravatar anymore. Is it gone? The name?
It's still Dravatar.
It's still Dravatar. Okay,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah.
Anything new with multiplayer?
Yeah, there's a ton of new stuff with multiplayer. Our featured multiplayer system is an area where you can come in, you get a safety rating, you get a skill rating. We're optimizing our matches towards the safety rating. So I think historically people think about the skill rating being how you optimize it so you've got people of the same speed. But what we actually want is people of the same continence, I guess, like the same temperament, right? That if you are someone who races very cleanly, you want to be with other really clean racers. And even if they're not as fast, or even if they're a lot faster than you, the racing will be more fun, and you're going to gain more skill. Whereas if we put you with the other racers that are the same speed as you, but they're maybe a little bit rougher, or maybe they're super clean, it creates toxicity. So by optimizing this way and having the 2 ratings, we can create much better racing. We also have the FRR, the Forza Race Regulations. This is something we introduced in 7. It's a machine learning based system. It's been massively improved for this one. It's in fact, it's got the same name, but it's basically a completely different system. And it allows us to penalize people time if they're really rough. We can ghost people. We can move them out of the game. And so we can take short-term actions if people are acting in ways that are kind of toxic. And then we can affect the safety rating and put them into the races that fit their type of racing experience.
Now, one of the things I really love about past Forza games is the community building different designs of their cars. So still we're going to see that in this game too, or no?
Yeah, the livery editor makes its return. This is something that's really key to how players express themselves in the game. And you can import liveries into the game from previous games and then apply them onto the cars you have.
So ironically enough, you kind of already answered something I wanted you to dive a little more into, was with the machine learning and the AI. So it's funny, when we were just playing, I turned it all the way up. I was like, let's see how tough this is. Completely kicked my butt. I had to scale it back, to be able to really compete in the race. So how important is that when we think, kind of blurring the lines between multiplayer and single player, and you're integrating that AI, of having AI truly being able to challenge us as a player as we're going through the races and doing these different cars?
There's a lot of subtlety in how this game was designed, because we took the time to have a longer concept period and a longer pre-pro period. We proved things out, and we built a lot of small subsystems to support that vision of having people fall in love with cars, skill, and competition. Chris mentioned it during the talk that we have much better physics, and that forced us to do this prediction system for 10/10ths, and that led to improvements in AI, and then we did a whole bunch of more stuff in AI to make them really fast. End result, the lowest setting in Forza Motorsport for the AI is about 6% slower than it was in previous Forza Motorsports. but the high setting is much faster, and it spreads in between the two.
Yeah.
Now that one that's faster is no longer using any cheats, any hacks, any rubber banding, nothing. It's purely driving the car. And this came through machine learning applied towards the controller, which is actually how, just like it sounds, how the AI controls the car. It got much smarter in how to control it. We've got a couple of prediction layers that we put in for the AI that run in a table during load time. That made them faster. It was a whole bunch of little technologies that added up to massive savings in how the AI can perform. Now, we also took a different tactic towards Drivatar. So it's still machine learning based, but it's not taking the lines of your friend and applying those, and it's not taking the roughness of your friends and applying those. It's instead taking all of us, and that's what kind of helped us train that controller. So it was really taking a lot of data from a lot of Forzas and training this AI in how to drive cars faster. We also put in a line optimizer. This is not I like technology. It's not technically machine learning, but this line optimizer was actually helping us make the most mathematically accurate path for the AI, and then we had an AI that would make that even more accurate through each track. So all of these, my point is, all of these little technologies came in to make the AI much, much faster, and that gave us this really cool prediction system for creating 10/10ths as well. One last little thing, what you guys drove today, actually, the AI was still occasionally, the Drivatars would, sort of go wide and run into the player occasionally. That's something that we fixed. This build's about a month old, so we're still fixing pieces in there. And that actually has to do with AI vision. It's funny, people are like, oh, this AI is really rough. Sometimes the AI is just a little blind. And so this is our ability to help the AI see the opponent. And that was one of the bugs we fixed, and now they're not hitting as much.
Awesome. Now, we've kind of talked about this mostly from a novice or someone who isn't super hardcore, into racing enthusiast. But let's talk about it from a huge racing enthusiast standpoint. Again, when we talk about the tuning system and everything, I'm sure veterans of the series know you can just go completely nuts, as far as tuning parts and everything. But I noticed just in the little bit that we had in the build, there definitely seems to be a difference with the point system now and how you're acquiring those parts that you'll be able to tune with. Can you kind of go in a little more in depth on that?
Yeah, this was another one of those designs. Actually, before I even get in there, I think there's a little bit to be said about just turn 10, kind of how we go at problems in general. Yeah. From the very first Forza Motorsport, our goal was to democratize cars and democratize, being able to race these incredible cars that you won't even see in your life. They're so rare. Putting them to their limits, to 10/10ths, really getting them to their limits. This is something that's been the core of our game from the beginning. You've never been to that location. You've never been to that country. Go explore it. So as a result, we've done innovations like the optimal line. We've got, rewind, things that help with approachability so anyone can play the game. We've also done a lot in accessibility, and those two things are different, approachability and accessibility. So we've tried to make the game so that anyone can play it, and then make the game have all these accessibility features so even the most marginalized community in gaming or in driving is able to experience the game. We've got a blind driving assist that does that same thing.
Which, by the way, because I got to interview him, that helped create all that, just amazing.
Yeah,
that you're able to do that.
That speaks to the way we try to design these games. Yeah. And so it's the same thing, actually, even down to that upgrade system you're mentioning. We wanted to have a system that feels like there's a path I can take, but I can stray off it whenever I want. Yeah. And it goes at a nice natural pace so that it's approachable for me if I'm not a hardcore racer. Or I'm not really into upgrades. But if you are into upgrades and you are into hardcore racing, go take that car into free play. There's other areas you can take it into multiplayer. You can take it into rivals. You can start building those points up quickly, or just stay in practice longer. And when you're in practice, especially if you're a good racer, you're going to get those points even faster, and you can apply them to your car. So I think the goal was to have a system that feels really natural and meters itself out to players. But if you want to skip past that and move really quickly, you can. It just takes skill. Right. So you kind of got to earn your place.
Yeah, I know there's 500 cars. Is there any new cars that wasn't available in the past? As in this version?
Yeah. There's I don't remember the exact number. There's something near 100 of cars that were not in the previous motorsports.
Okay.
And a lot of cars that came into the game are race cars. We want to put a big emphasis on race cars. Those are cars that are new to motorsport and new to Forza in general. There's a ton of new cars. That's the whole thing about trying to build a racing platform. there's new cars coming out all the time. We're going to be adding new tracks, new cars, and they're going to come seamlessly into the career, seamlessly into multiplayer. So as soon as it could be a random week and all of a sudden there's new cars, tracks, weather conditions, all sorts of things, so that the entire game feels very fresh and new.
Are we ever going to see electric cars in this?
There are electric cars in the game.
There is? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you mention which ones? Or,
you don't remember? It's 500 cars, and the way I tend to play, it's funny because because it's not really about car collecting, it's about the passion you have. Okay. So I've got my own passions that I kind of drive through the game with.
Okay, cool.
I do want to just acknowledge that we're actually here at the Peterson Automotive Museum as we're doing this, and we got a tour right before. And to your point about seeing cars from the past, even the present, some that are from other countries I've never seen before in real life was kind of impressive. Just like, whoa, that's a real thing. You only see it on TV or doing it in a game. But the reason I bring that up is going back to more of just, this is Forza Motorsport, so this is a simulator. So again, the huge racing enthusiasts that are going to go by the cockpit and the wheels and all that stuff, they can make this as hardcore as they want as far as from a realism standpoint. So I'm thinking more of the technical side of this and the physics side of this. So tires, fuel, the weather that you're talking about, all of these things are going to be real factors in the game if you choose it to be from a racing standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, we've had multiplayer races just as we've been, shutting down the build in the last few weeks where, weather rolls in, people are deciding if they want to, chance it on their current tires or do they want to pit. There's only 2 laps left. Am I really going to lose enough time? So that kind of pitting strategy comes into place. And it doesn't have to. There's races we switch the weather out. We don't switch the weather out. To your point, you can set your races up how you like when you're in your own private multiplayer, and you can have that work how you like for simulation.
Along those lines, because like you said, I understand it. We set up our own private matches, but like, is there anything in the game where there's like hardcore for lack of a better term, public matches where it's not private, so anyone can join, but basically you turn 10, you're setting what the parameters.
Yeah, you're onto exactly how we're going to be building this thought of building community and building platform. Yeah. So we need to get enough players in that we can get the stratification of skill, and the stratification of desire, that we don't end up fracturing communities into small groups. Mm-hmm. And so that's the goal. We're going to get a lot of people when this game launches. A lot of people are going to be playing it. They're going to build up skill. They're going to build up the cars that they really want to race. And we can switch races and events on and off. It was just built into the whole game. So new events can be turned on and turned off. We can change the weather on events very, very quickly. So that allows us to change out the rule sets for players and even cohort players who are of a certain skill rating or speed rating into certain events so that we can really, it's about focusing, right? If everybody kind of makes their own event, then nobody races with each other. So we need to have an event that speaks to the type of player, and we have to have enough players that they all want to come in there and congregate.
So if you have enough players, how long is that going to take for us to play with the players that are from our skill level?
That's going to be the first day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do a few races and you're going to start going into your skill and speed rating very, very quickly. Yeah. So that's immediate.
Yeah, because in the past, sometimes I get overwhelmed with the players. It's too good for like to play online with them, and I just rather play offline, just single player because of that. So that's why I was asking how long is that going to take and everything. So
yeah,
when it comes to the skills,
if you think about how you, I guess how you sort a list, right? Mm-hmm. What you sort by first has the most power, and so by sorting by the safety rating first, it allows us to get people in the same matches with people of their same safety. Now, to your point, that may mean you're in a race with someone who's much, much, much faster or much, much, much slower. But I would argue my experience in multiplayer is it doesn't bother me so much when somebody's faster than me. It bothers me a lot when somebody smacks into me.
Yeah.
So getting that taken care of first as the community continues to grow, then we can be optimizing around speed. And that's when we'll get to where these two factors really matter, both speed and safety, because you'll end up with very, very partitioned communities that have some real differences.
I'm just thinking as we wrap this up, just thinking more from platform. Obviously, we know it's going to be Xbox Series X. It's going to be on the S, but it is going to be on the PC. And I know you just recently made an announcement and Gamescom and everything's been going on, so I haven't kept up exactly what the announcements were. We got to fly around here.
It's all over us.
But on the PC side of it, are there any features or things that basically a PC gamer is going to be able to take advantage of with Forza Motorsport?
Yeah, so first off, this game's launching on Windows Store and Steam at the same time. So it's launching there, and you're able to cross-play and cross-save across these devices.
Awesome.
So it's great for building a big community.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
Yeah.
So there's a big community that's playing together. But on top of that, we've really done a big investment in the wheels. So our force feedback wheels, there's more peripherals. We've done a huge investment not only in the physics, which really show themselves even more when you turn assists off and you go to a wheel, but in the wheels themselves and the force feedback and how that feels. Now on top of that, yes, there's been a lot of features in what you can turn on and off given your spec on your PC. That's one of those areas that PC gamers expect, but it doesn't speak to the hardcore racing community. That's just something as part of PC gaming in general.
Right on. Okay.
2 questions. Steam, you said it's going to be available on Steam. So are we going to also have it on the handheld too, Steam Deck? Is it going to be verified or no?
We're not speaking to that right now.
Okay. And also, I'm a huge fan. Also, ultra wide screen. Because I love the previous Forza. It looks beautiful on ultra wide. So are we going to see that with this one?
Yep, we've got ultra wide screen.
See, you got me. That's it. Now, Dan, just want to say thanks for the interview, man. Can't wait to play the full version very soon.
Let me just say, as we're wrapping up, because you mentioned before how long you've been doing this. I have personally been a fan for years, obviously. I think what you and Turn 10 have done with racing and making it very approachable for novice people on console and now even on PC, it's just a credit to what you've done over the years. So really excited for October to get here. So get more hands on. What we played today was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Really looking forward to it.
I really appreciate it. It was really important to us that we had all of you get a chance to play it and enjoy the game. It's a big deal to me and the team. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
This is Gamertag Radio. Voicemail at 786-2737-GTR.
All right, let's talk about our sponsor here, Gamertag Radio, and that's DraftKings. Football is back in full swing with another week of epic games, and who's got you covered on the action of every single one of them? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Nobody's missing out on the action this season. All DraftKings customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game this September. So, Gamertag Radio listeners, take action. Get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code GTR to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code GTR. The crown is yours. Now, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, called 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling, called 877-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See dkng.co/football for eligibility. Terms and responsibly gaming resources. Our bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
This is Gamertag Radio.
All right, so shout out to Dan, the whole Turn 10, Xbox, everybody for inviting us for this event. I can't wait to play the official game once it releases and everything. So anything else, Paris, before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, just to say, I'm definitely looking forward to the final game of Forza Motorsport. I believe it is out on October 10th, 2023. So we're looking forward to it because I think they do have a great opportunity here, to really cement themselves as the premier racing, simulation racer, on the console and PC. And I guess that's something we didn't talk about that much, but Dan, Luke talked about it during the interview. Is PC version, they're definitely taking advantage of all the features that you would expect on PC. So really looking forward to jumping in on that as well, and seeing how performance wise everything works on the PC side, because the console has been great so far during this preview, hands down. So I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed playing this on Series X. And we did not play on S, just FYI, it was all just Series X.
Series X, yep. Now, before we wrap it up, Paris, very quick. How's your Starfield journey? Very quickly.
None of your business. That's
what do you mean? None of my business.
None of my business. It's my journey. What about your own journey?
I've been very vocal. On mine.
No. Speaking of that, I mean, I'm definitely over 100 hours at this point. I'm enjoying it. I've for sure slowed down since the review period, because that was just balls to the wall, trying to see as much as I can, but kind of just exploring, kind of just going to random planets, just checking out stuff. Like I found a pretty cool deserted mineral factory. Had a nice, I guess you almost would call it a boss fight, because you go through, take out a lot of enemies, and then there's a higher level kind of boss-like character you take out, and then you basically loot. Found a couple cool weapons going in there, but that's just kind of what I've been doing right now, just playing around in New Game Plus. There's obviously a lot of other games that we're going to be playing and reviewing over the next few weeks, but the great thing that I can say about Starfield, this is a game I'll be playing for a long time. I think the further we've gotten away, like I even saw a comment on Twitter. Someone was saying that I seemed very, very apprehensive to want to praise the game during when you and I were talking about it. And maybe I was, in the sense that I didn't want to oversell it, right? Because it's like I try to be very careful. Like, let me make sure I'm pointing out what's not working in the game. Let me obviously talk about what does work in the game. And maybe I leaned a little too much in what wasn't working in the game. And all that stuff is still true, but I'm over 100 hours playing the game. I'm pretty sure you're close to that amount too. The game's fun as hell. The game's great. It is a great game. This is going to sell Xboxes. Obviously, we've seen that now that it's out to the masses. Everyone just universally really seems to be enjoying their time with it. Is it a perfect game? No, but what game is, right? So, I'm loving Starfield. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and one thing that I thought about the other night while playing, because I've been traveling a lot, checking out the planets and everything, and I was like in my head, what are the chances of us finding a black hole? What are the chances of that happening if maybe we'll discover something hidden? Or do you think it's something where Bethesda could just flip the switch and just unlock random stuff that we haven't discovered yet?
I think that's possible. I mean, it's possible. To your point about, again, I don't want to get into spoilery stuff, but I'll just leave it at that. I definitely think it's possible.
Oh, it's possible? Okay. All right. All right. But please, guys, for those who are listening, please let us know your thoughts about this interview and also our hands-on impressions. And if, any other questions and comments, please let us know also your how's your journey with Starfield. All right. So we're going to be out here. Until next time, we're going to be out. Take care. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.